something I've never seen before in my life. I look at how people are reacting, and on both sides, really.
Right.
And I will say this: when I go on my runs, when I do my things, and I'm running around, people are looking at you in the eye. They're smiling. There's a levity. There's a sense of like relief, right? There's a sense of commonality and sense and common sense. So that brings a little bit of peace in my world,
right?
But then some things are happening where things are getting changed quickly, and you could say they're getting changed back to normal, or you can say they're getting back regressing,
right?
But I mean, when you're looking at the population as a whole, I think the country as a whole, I think it's in a better position going forward. I don't think we were headed in a great direction. I think it was a little too extreme, a little too fast. And with that, you have a lot of problems. I like the police. I like global safety. I like kind of like normalcy, family, all that stuff in place. And I felt that, the way we were headed, they were kind of dismantling all of that.
Right.
And the way we are headed now is they're doing their best to put it back together. And it's like Humpty Dumpty.
Right.
And it's happening in a nanosecond. So that's difficult for a lot of people to process.
Yeah, I think people are kind of shocked to see. People are shocked in both sides, right? People are shocked
Absolutely.
to see the what is happening, that it can be a little bit too extreme for them, right? Because again, it has not happened ever. I mean, just look at it objectively, without taking any sides, right?
Yeah.
As you say, what's happening right now, it has never been done in the history of the United States.
It's unbelievable to watch. It's like watching a movie.
As of right now, they're extreme for both sides.
Yep.
Why? Because nobody has ever seen that. Nobody has seen those changes happen so quickly. And that shocks people, People from the left, they're like, they think that they're destroying the country,
They think they're destroying the culture.
The culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm so like we said, this is a great concept. I want you to be you as long as I can be me.
Right. Right.
And it was getting to the point where I couldn't, you were making me feel bad for being me.
Yeah.
Or I was overstepping, or I didn't understand you, so I was bad. And at the end of the day, who do I vote for? Who's going to be best for me? This is the University of Dr. Tim. This is the country of myself.
Right.
And, I want to support everybody, but in turn, you have to support me equally. There's no special, you're not going to get special assistance or special anything because we have different ideologies.
Right.
Yours isn't better than mine.
Right.
Mine's not better than yours.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right.
We can agree to disagree, or we can agree to agree and move forward either way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I feel like that was the one thing where people were feeling like they have the right to make you change the way you think or act or think or say, just because they felt like they were entitled to. There was a little too much leeway being given. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like that. In order for there to be respect, among people, there has to be a line drawn, to be like, well, this is how I feel, this is how I think. As long as I don't touch you, I don't have any kind of, like physical violence,
hatred, animosity.
Right. And if you feel like what I'm saying is, because that's another thing that happened, and it was very dangerous too, is the fact that they were saying that just by saying things, by people not calling, for example, non-binary people by their pronouns, they were violently...
I am awful in English.
They were violently being attacked by you. And it's like, how can you define it as violent? Like, what? Isn't there like a dictionary to define violence? And people feeling violently attacked by, well, first of all, I just met you. Like, I don't know how to address you. If you give me the opportunity, then I will do my best to remember,
Well, let's take it a step further. I mean, I'm a moron. I have no idea. I'm English is a great language. It's a very difficult language for me. It's difficult. It's not easy, right? He, them, they, like it's seriously confusing. And then there's they. There's all of these things, and it's like I'm not being mean to you. I don't know better, and it's partly because I never really appreciated the English in high school, college, etc. But I can't be held responsible for what you want to be called when I don't even know how to do it. And you can't get pissed off at me because it makes no sense. And the louder you get, the more I just pull back.
Right. And then there's the respect gets lost, and you're still like, well, this person is really not respecting my point of view, and the other person feels like, well, this person is respecting me as a whole, and you're like, well, now there's just this kind of completely gone like that,
polar opposites,
completely gone the other extreme. But it has to, like I told you that one time before, it has to come down to communication, right?
And this is the melting pot. So what happens when things melt?
They become one.
They become one. And I mean, bottom line is, if you want to come to America, if you want to live in America, part of the assimilation process is appreciating the history, learning the language, understanding the laws, appreciating the customs. You can appreciate your customs too, right? But it's hard for me when people put their customs above the country that they're in. If you and I went to a nation in the Middle East and we were out there, spouting off free speech or, not dressed accordingly or whatever, that country wouldn't put up with it for 30 seconds. We'd either be beaten or arrested, and deservedly so, right? Because we're in their land. But you can come here and disparage and complain and do all these things and then put out your hand and say, well, what do I get? And it's completely backwards.
Dude, like you just touched that subject like exactly right to where supposed you hit Danielle in the head with that comment, because it's so incredibly true, even though it seems like it shouldn't be true.
Yeah.
But it's like when I came to this country, we came here because we had to go to my parents were like, well, there was no other way to survive, It's
land of prosperity.
And this was the place to be.
American dream.
And the way I had always seen it, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but I remember like when I started working at the restaurant business back in 95, I was 15 years old and I was working in this restaurant, and I think it was like a Christmas party, right? So I will never forget, dude. Like there was like, obviously the people from the kitchen, the people that spoke Spanish, Hispanic, Mexican on one side, and the Americans on another side, right? But I always noticed that there was like a few Americans that would always try to like
bridge
and like talk to the rest. And yes, I get it now. Look in hindsight, I realize that maybe the fact of the language barrier, right, is a big thing. So sure. That's number one. Number two, most of the people that come to work in this country, they come from rural areas, right? So their education level is extremely low. They still have this perception of the white person as something bigger than them, right? Because that is a true thing. That is a legit
inferiority complex. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and that is a legit thing that happens in Mexico.
Absolutely.
Like that. It's now. Let me put a pin on that. Mexico is a very racist country. So for us to feel racist, that we're being discriminated in this country, is almost ironic, to feel that way, just because the way we treat people with darker skin, it's very bad.
Yeah,
I am testament of that, dude. Like if I was to be in Mexico and there's like all this group of like white people, they look kind of like down at you. I was talking to this guy, a friend of mine. They went to a resort in Cabo a month ago, and they had a great time. And we started talking about kind of like the same subject. And he goes, well, I don't understand that. How can that happen? And I'm like, okay, so you went to this resort, right? He goes, yeah. I'm like, how many white, blonde, blue-eyed people served you? You go down there too. Like, pay attention to that, right?
Absolutely.
Like, how often do you see that?
Never. Never.
That explains you.
Yep.
How that situation is.
Yep.
Like people taking care of you, serving you, bartenders, servers, whatever, dark skin.
Yep. The separation.
Separation is crazy. That's crazy. But anyways, going back to my point, which I totally forgot about it. I don't know even what I was talking about.
We were talking about when you came over.
So anyways, when I came over and then the people bridging, trying to communicate with everybody,
sure.
Everybody else, I felt like I always paid attention to that. And to me, I appreciated, even though my English was not as great back then, I always appreciate their effort. And to me, that was super cool. And I always, that was a very...
You just keyed on the word appreciation.
Appreciation, yeah.
You appreciated the effort. You appreciated being here. You were grateful. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, that warms people's hearts, right? On both sides.
Right.
And that's part of the cohesivity that brings people together.
Right.
You wanting to do good, you wanting to like contribute, you wanting to like learn the customs and all that stuff. It just makes the assimilation process so that, you become a Mexican American. But you're an American.
Right.
Because, if you wanted to stay a Mexican, you'd stay in Mexico.
And that is exactly my point. It's like, by me seeing and noticing all this, how people treat us, American people, like I have never, well, I should not say never, but for the most part in my life, American people, white people, whatever you guys want to call it, have always been cool,
Because you're cool. I mean, it's a reflection of what you're projecting. And if you're mean or if you're standoffish or if you feel like you're being persecuted or any of that stuff, of course, that creates an instant barrier, an instant wall that makes us go apart.
Right.
That's how are you going to attract what you want when you're building a wall? The same bricks can be used to build a path.
Right.
You have the choice.
Right.
You can build that wall and separate the two of us, or you can build the bridge and bring us together.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, like, after me realizing, like, okay, so I like this country, I wanted to be part of this country, because that is something that it has given me so much. It has given me my life that I have at this moment. That is like, like you mentioned, if I wanted to turn this country into Mexico, stay in Mexico. If you want to turn this country into whatever it is, Palestine, Afghanistan, whatever it is, Iraq, stay in your country. The reason why you come to this country is to make a positive change in your life.
Yes.
But if you want to turn it to what that country that you left, you want to turn it into that, it's not fair. It doesn't make any sense in my head as an immigrant.
No.
It's like, well, now I'm here, I wanted to make a better change, but now all the people that surround me that have that mentality of like, well, let's change it into Mexico. And it's like, well, what was the point of coming here to begin with?
Right on.
Like, what is the point of coming to this country if now these people are changing it back into the country that I left? It just makes, again, it comes down to common sense.
Yes.
It just makes no sense to me, And yeah, and you mentioned there's like all these people, this country, all these that want to make the changes, stay where you were before, Like, and it's not being mean.
No.
It's being rational about it. It's like, so you want to have the best of both worlds. I don't know if that even can be applied here, have the best of both worlds when it's like you have the misery of your country and making dollars like an American, I don't know if that makes sense of having both worlds, but why would you want to make that change? Why would you want to bring those ideologies that are not...
It's the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing here that you were there, but you were unhappy there. So you're just going to bring that unhappiness forward.
Right.
And it's going to spread.
Right.
Instead of, I want to go here because of this, And then when you get there, you're like, well, I want that. What happened to this? Why do you not want the freedom? Why do you not want the opportunity? Why do you not want to celebrate the land that's giving you all of this? And it's a very interesting irony how people make that twist, and all of a sudden, you guys are bad, America's bad, like everybody's bad, and if it's so bad, then you should probably return to where you came from.
Agreed.
And I mean, part of being here, like if I move to Japan, I better learn Japanese. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to communicate. I probably won't be able to work. Won't have as good of an experience, and I'll end up leaving. Right? I won't go to Japan and expect them to learn English. Expect them to give me money. Expect them to make me happy. I can't give that power to someone else when I control it.
Right.
I would never.
Right.
If I have the ability to go there, I'm going to have the ability to learn language, assimilate, appreciate the culture, integrate myself into the culture, still value and still respect my heritage. But if I move to Japan and get Japanese citizenship, I'll be a Japanese American. Right?
Yeah.
So
Well, I think over there is like you are only Japanese. I think you have to revoke your American citizenship.
But
I know. I'm just getting very technical now.
I mean, I would still celebrate 4th of July in Japan. Let's go America. But I mean, at the end of the day,
I get. Yeah, I exactly know what you're saying. Yeah. No, exactly. It's like it's not. You don't go there and trying to, change them into your way of thinking, your way of living, your ideologies. Because they're extremely different countries. Extremely different cultures, and I mean, like. So yeah, just people coming here and wanting to make those drastic changes. Like of course there's people that are going to be like, no, that's not okay.
It's impossible.
This is not. I feel like the Constitution and all those things that were given to this country, like it can work both ways.
Yes.
What I'm saying is like it's like we have all these freedoms, but at the same time, those freedoms allow people to come here and wanting to do whatever they want to do.
Absolutely.
Right. That was my.
It's a double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword. That's what it is. Double-edged sword.
But I mean, it's we're all carrying the sword and we're all going the same direction.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a very simple thing to want to be here, but you have to want the land to prosperous.
Prosperity.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it.
And also like, there's this guy that I follow on YouTube, and he's Geopolitics, and dude, his stuff is freaking amazingly on point. He's from Mexico. He's gotta be like in his 80s. His ethnicity, he's Jewish. His name is Alfredo Jalife Ambres, I believe. Anyways, but dude, he calls things as they're gonna happen, and he's not an emotional guy where he's like leans left, right, because geopolitics, once you understand geopolitics, ahead of time how things are gonna be moving,
exactly.
just by following that trend, basically, right?
Exactly.
And he basically talks about the power struggle that happened during the election. It had to do with he calls it the 4 horsemen, and it has to do with Vanguard, BlackRock, Soros, and I don't recall the 4th one, who it was.
Vanguard?
No, Vanguard, BlackRock,
okay,
Soros, and I want to see, I don't know if it's JP Morgan, I might be mistaken. But anyway, so it has to do a lot with races. So he broke it down into a race battle that they have, because these guys are Jewish descent, all these people, but there's like different types of like factions into the Jewish community.
Sure.
Right? Anyways, and it has to do with the white American populace, basically. And that's when Trump winning, basically we got our country back from these 4 horsemen that were pretty much taking over the country and wanted to change ideologies, culture, the language.
They were basically taking a thread and pulling it out of the wardrobe and it was just going to be falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, and it went from the mandates to, these regulations to handling of COVID to the school stuff. I mean, whatever institution we had that was consistent and normal, quote unquote, they wanted to change. I can remember going to a bathroom at Target, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, which one do I use? I didn't understand the signs, and these are universal signs. And I'm sitting here looking, and I look over at the worker, and I'm like, and she's like, "Oh, you can use whichever one you want."
Right.
And I go, "That makes total sense."
Right.
Just, dude, however I feel today, I'm going to use that one. You gads.
Yeah, but it's super interesting how it all comes. There's like sometimes you have to step back and see the bigger picture and what actually is going on outside of just left and right, Democrat and Republican, there is for sure exterior powers.
Absolutely. Nefarious powers, good powers.
There's no doubt about that. No. So when we all get into this battle of like, oh, you're left, you're right, you're blue, you're red, it's like, no.
It's bigger than that.
It's so much bigger than that.
Yep.
And that's why you need to do research. You need to read. You need to do, don't get out of your emotions, And that is the first thing that I tell my friends, like that I was talking to. It's just like, guys, like, don't get emotional with this.
You can't.
You cannot get, but the minute you get emotional with this, you lose the battle.
100%.
You're going to lose the battle crazy. It's like you're in a relationship, What happens when there's this, situation where you guys have an argument, like, think clearly.
Step back. Take a breath. Reassess. And most importantly, communicate.
Right.
And by communication, you're expressing yourself, but you're doing it in a thoughtful, processed way without, confrontation.
Right.
You're actually pulling back this veil so that you can kind of dissect the problem in a very logical, systematic way with a very simple solution. And they put so much bullshit atop of bullshit that we didn't know which way was up. And I mean, it was a lot of stuff's happening right now. Ton of stuff. So it's mind-blowing. But it was back then too. I mean, I'd be watching the news and I'd be seeing stuff in the workplace and stuff and how they're making employees do these things and the pronouns you said and all this other stuff. And I'm just sitting here going like, wow, where did all this come from? I mean, I understand it. I respect it, but I don't understand it's so important this moment when there's so many other things that we should be focused on.
Worried about. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what is the craziest thing? Okay, so after the election happened and I started paying attention, and now you start seeing all these people that were during and after the election. I remember like I on my Instagram, I follow people from the left and people from the right,
of course,
just to kind of like see the perspective and see where the middle is at. And there's this guy, his name is Scott Holloway. He's a professor in Berkeley, I believe. He's super left. Like he's super left. And but rational left. If like there was this really great podcast. And he's just talking about it. He goes, yeah, we lost the election, like hands down by a lot.
Yeah.
There's no need for us to freak out about it. And the reason why is because we forgot about the working people. Because there's no other reason. We forgot about them.
They took the 0.5 percenters and made them more important than everyone else.
And he goes, and that is the reason why. He goes, that is the reason why you see the highest percentage of Hispanics and the highest percentage of Black Americans voting for Trump.
Yep. Well, I mean, I consider myself a very simple person, and I'm a Latino. So,
you're not a Latinx?
I don't even know what that is. Is that new? Maybe.
You don't know about that?
Do I use that bathroom or that bathroom? Whichever one's open, that's what I am. At the end of the day, Like when all of this simplicity gets complicated, it alienates people. And I mean, we don't want to have to worry about stupid shit. We have to worry about being healthy. We have to worry about putting food on the table, putting a roof over our heads. And, you know, if we want to go to church, go to church. If we want to, like, you know, like play sports, the whole sports thing convoluted. And I mean, it got insane. There was no stone unturned that wasn't confusing. And it's academia shouldn't be involved in anything other than math,
teaching,
English, science, art. They have no business trying to shape the minds. They're not shaping the minds, they're building the minds. And you don't shape a mind with, you know, ideology. You build a mind with logic.
Right.
With things that make the person function higher, more intelligent.
Critically think.
Yes. And then that person can make their own decisions. You don't try to like force any sort of ideology on a sixth grader. You teach them freaking math. You teach them English. Then when they can read, then they can develop and cultivate their own personality and make their own decisions.
Yeah.
It's not the teacher's job to raise children.
Yeah.
The parents.
Yeah.
And the parents gave up that right because somehow it was a bad thing if you went against what was going to be the norm.
Yeah, completely agree. So after listening to that guy, you know, making really good points, and it's like, and even Bernie Sanders came out, you know, with a statement after that saying like, we lost the popular vote.
And
like,
Bernie's a great businessman. He makes a ton of money. I mean, you know, love him or hate him, he's a very successful guy.
Yeah.
And he's a very smart guy. And we don't have to agree with him.
Right.
But we have to respect what he's done and what he's accomplished in his life. So he deserves us to listen.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have this guy that is Scott Holloway, and then you have Bernie Sanders, and then like a month later or a few weeks later, you see Eric Adams from New York coming out.
Yeah.
The mayor from New York saying, yeah, like,
this is not the city I want. This is not the city I took over.
What does that tell you about what was going on? Like, they were like, some of them were doing their job because they had to do their job. You know? And that's kind of sad, you know, that they have to like follow an ideology or follow a way of, you know, like a way of acting just because your position might be in danger, you know?
It was insane. I remember him saying specifically, you know, yeah, New York's a sanctuary city, but these aren't the people that, you know, are going to help build the city. These are, you know, our crime is up, our murder rates are up, everything is not going the way we want it to go. So, you know, by saying that, he really alienated himself
completely.
And I mean, not from people, but from his party.
From his party. Yep.
And I remember sitting there going like, well, his career's done.
Yep. And that's what's happening. That's what's going to happen.
But if you look at the old school Democrats, right? Like if you looked at Biden even 30 years ago, he was pretty on point. If you look at Bill Clinton, pretty on point. I mean, he loved the police. He loved structure. He loved a lot of things that we appreciate. You know, I consider myself a moderate conservative, you know. I'm fiscally conservative and socially liberal, right? Like you do what you want with your body. I want to do what I want with mine, my taxes, et cetera, bada, bada, bada.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that all got confused. And we can even go back to the body. Okay. Freedom of choice, right? You can do what you want with your body. Be my guest. That changed right up until you told me I had to take a shot. What happened to freedom of my body?
Right.
Like you can do what you want with yours, but I have to take the shot you're telling me to take? That makes zero sense. Total contradiction. And the irony is...
double standards.
It made me the villain, or it made you the villain, whatever, who wouldn't comply with the ideology bent to fit the narrative to serve a purpose.
Right.
And it was absolutely out of control. I was sitting back in shock, watching this happen in front of me. And I'm a guy who's like, yeah, do what you want with your body. And I would assume you would expect the same from me.
Right.
But you didn't.
Right. Exactly. That's when people start to feel like, entitled to now they have more power over you because they decided to choose the best option according to their way of thinking, and now you're being seen like, oh, you're less than. It's like, wait a second, what?
It was insane.
It's just surreal to see how many people that herd mentality it's a real thing, It's like it's such a real thing.
But that was the huge division, right?
Huge, incredibly crazy, like crazy.
And that started undermining the underbelly of common sense.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, like you notice that panic creates that, right? Like
fear and panic.
Fear and panic. And I remember, little story here. Like it happened in 2022, I believe. Deborah and I went to Vegas, and I don't know if I told you this, but we're in Vegas. We're chilling. We went to see Bill Burr. Had a great time. And then on our way back, he was at the Cosmopolitan, all the way in the top.
Awesome. So
then you take the escalator down to the chandelier, and then there's the bar and everything. So we went down there. Well, let's just have some drinks here. Like, yeah, perfect. We're going all the way to the bottom. We're sitting, and right behind me, the escalators are right behind me. And Deborah is sitting in front of me. So she's able to see what's going on, right? And all of a sudden, I kind of like hear commotion, right? But I wasn't really, like, it's Vegas. They're partying. There's a nightclub up top.
Somebody wins some money.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no big deal. And then I see her like looking, like past me, and I'm like, "Well," she's like, "Babe," she's like, "We have to go." I see her grabbing her purse, and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Babe, we have to go." I turn around to the escalator, and there's like all these amounts of people just like fucking rushing down, and I'm like, "Okay, time to go." So
smash and grab?
No. So I grab her hand. I'm like, "Okay, let's go." So we start going, and everybody's freaking out. People are like just freaking out. So I'm like, one thing that my father always told me since I was a kid, and it has served its purpose, is like, never panic. If you panic, you lose control. Right?
Toast. You're toast.
You're toast. So do not panic. And that was it. Okay, so what's going on? And I hear people saying, there's a shooter. Run, there's a shooter. I'm like, all right. So now I'm like waiting for a shot. To hear a shot, I don't hear anything. Nobody's shooting anything. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know about that. I don't hear any shots.
Mm-hmm.
So we started following this, the security guard. He's like, okay, come this way. So we're like following him, and he takes us out to the back of the Cosmopolitan. So if you're back of the Cosmopolitan, you make a left, and that will take you from the back alley to area in Vedara.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you make a right, it's going to take you to the strip. So we're like, all right. I'm like, well, to the left, because that's where we're staying. So let's roll. So we're like walking. And all of a sudden you see people coming from that side, a wave of people saying, don't go that way. That shooter is there. And I'm like, okay, like this makes no sense. Like, what's going on? How many shooters are there? Like, they're inside the Cosmopolitan. Now they're coming from the Vidara. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm like, okay, let's go. And what I loved about Deborah is that she also kept her cool. She was not freaking out. She was okay. So she's following me. And then I'm like, okay. And then my brain is like, okay, pay attention to the security guards. If the security guards are freaking out, then we need to worry.
Yes.
Because they need to get the people out.
They're on the radio.
Oh, completely. Everybody's in communication, so they know what's going on.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at the security guards. They're confused. They don't know what's going on. So I'm like, okay, so something's not right. Because they telling people to get out, to go to a safe place, but they're looking around like, I don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no signs of a shooter. And okay, I told her, I'm like, pay attention to the guards. If they're freaking out, then we freak out. If not, we're good.
Yep.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't see them like panicking or anything. Keep walking. Anyways, we ended up around the front of Cosmopolitan, go to Vidara. And as we're going up, again, more people coming down.
Oh, my God.
There's a shooter up there. Don't go. And I told them, I'm like, stay here. Let me just run up there. I run. I don't see anything. I'm like, okay, let's go. So she comes up, and we're literally right there to the Vidara. We walk into the Vidara, and it's like we walk into a completely different world.
Yes. They don't have the confusion and the chaos.
Everybody's in. And by now, we already knew the bartender. So she sees us, and she sees us that we're kind of like she's like, what's going on, guys? And we're like, whoa. She's like, come over here, sit down,
Calm down.
What do you guys want to drink, whatever. Anyways, we sat right next to these three people, a couple and this girl. They also were the Cosmopolitan. They also heard the same thing. A girl was next to her. She came all the way from Caesars, which is about a mile away, because of the same thing. A shooting. And I'm like, how? Now we're like thinking, like, how would people be able to, run the news a mile away in a matter of minutes?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense.
No.
So now I'm like on Twitter trying to see, because the news, there's nothing. I'm looking on Twitter to see if I hear anything or I see anything. And yeah, I heard about, like, there's a shooter. Eventually, they ended up saying that somebody smashed some doors with some rocks or stones. And that, because it's compressed glass, like, the sound made it sound like somebody was shooting inside that.
God.
I don't know what happened, dude. It was the weirdest thing. But my point of that story was her mentality.
Yes.
They don't sit down and realize, okay, so they just run and people run. They're like trampling over each other. They don't care.
And they're conditioned to be panicked. The fear drives your anxiety, and your anxiety runs your feet. And before you know it, you're running into the fire, not away from it.
Right. Yeah. Completely. And for me, it was like, okay, think. Like, what's going on? I don't hear any shooters. All right. Let's keep it cool. Let's keep walking. Let's see what we hear. But I didn't allow myself to be guided by these poor people that didn't know what was up or down, because it's like, well, makes no sense.
We were trained to basically not listen to ourselves. We were trained to be told what the reality is. And I have an analogy to this. Little Johnny in the garden. Little Johnny in the garden is eating dirt. Mom tells him, "Don't eat dirt, Johnny." Okay, Mom. He's a little kid. Next day, he's eating dirt. If you do that again, you're in trouble. Third day, Johnny's eating dirt. Come on in. You're a bad kid. I'm going to wash your mouth out with soap and wash your hands. You're going to go to your room. So what the mom didn't realize is, why is Johnny eating dirt? Any idea?
Because he probably saw it from his friends.
So his body needed minerals, right? So what's in the dirt? Minerals. He's eating this dirt. His body innately knows this dirt is mineral rich. So we're better. He's not getting it through the food that the mom's giving him. Great mom, super mom, but he's getting his minerals that he needs to grow through the dirt. Now the mom has told him, don't listen to your gut. You're in trouble now. So that's a little bit of a conflict. And this is at a young age. So not only does he not listen, is he trained as a kid not to listen to his gut, later in the afternoon, the mom's like, little Johnny, here's a cookie. I'm sorry. I feel bad for doing that to you. Now he's been rewarded for not listening to his gut. He's been taught not to listen to his gut. And he's been rewarded not to listen to his gut. And basically, that was the last 4 years that we experienced.
Right.
We were, whatever we felt inside, didn't matter. Right. It's what we saw on the television, what we looked at on our phones.
Right.
We were taught, don't trust this, trust this.
Right.
And then if you trust this, you're going to get this reward.
Right.
So we were robotically engineered to disconnect from our innate intelligence and not to trust our own intuition.
Right. Now it does make all the sense, because it's like, well, I'm listening to my body, but I don't know.
And that's the herd mentality. That's the fear-driven herd mentality. And it's almost like a psyop where it's on such a grand scale. The fact that it worked, and it worked so well, is just mind-blowing. Because you're sitting here going like, when you reflect back and you go, how did we get to this? It's pretty easy to see, actually.
It's crazy, dude. Like, I remember, I think within the week of the call, when they say that, everybody was on a quarantine, I remember I was at this restaurant It was not even a restaurant. I went to Mother's Market and I was having lunch after yoga, I think. And everybody's like, yeah, we're closing, whatever, we have to sit apart, doing all the precautionary things that they had to do.
Can't go to the beach.
Right. I saw your post today, by the way. And there's this guy right next to me, and he's a complete that is bullshit. That makes no sense. This is fake, all these things. And at the beginning, like we mentioned on the first time we did a podcast, we were like, well, everybody was like,
didn't know what to do.
On standby, like what's going on? Like, I don't know. But this guy was like so sure, completely like, this is not real. I don't know why you guys are people believing it. So now I remember looking back at it like, dude, you're nuts. You're crazy, dude. Like,
yes.
Why are you not following the rules that they're telling you to do? Because this is actually happening, right? I mean, the guy
we didn't know what was happening.
But we didn't know what was
the irony.
happening.
Yeah.
But the guy was so ahead of everyone else. Yeah. I don't know where he got his news, but that was very, very interesting to see. But yeah, so they, like I was telling you, so there's Eric Adams coming out, and Fetterman, the senator, also being like, dude.
Yeah. Be nice if he could dress up for Congress, but
at least, Senator, just put some jeans or something.
And I'm a shorts guy every day, so I appreciate that.
But when you go to galas and when you go places like that,
when in Rome,
you dress up.
Yes,
I've seen it. So you have the guy, and now, man. Have you looked at have you heard of Newsom's podcast?
Yes.
Have you paid attention to some of the highlights, or at least...
he's making a definite run for a political office.
Bro, but have you seen how...
Flip.
Oh my God, bro. Like, how can you take that guy seriously? Like, I guess that's where my point was. It's like, after seeing how strict and all these things that he was doing during that time, and now
how strict he was telling us to be, not how he was being.
Right, no, exactly.
Because he was going to dinner.
Completely.
His kids were in school.
Absolutely.
He wasn't wearing a mask. I mean, it was
right.
It was a very, very two-sided coin there.
And now he is I messed up.
Which I appreciate.
Completely.
Everybody can change.
Completely. But it's like...
the timing's a little strange.
Based on that, are you a very trusty person? Somebody trustworthy person? Somebody that can be like, okay, well, are you like doing things because they're convenient for you? Or like, so many points that he made when he had that interview, the first interview that he had on his podcast with Charlie Kirk. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that guy was just calling him on his crap.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, yeah, the whole Latinx thing.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody used it in my office. And then they come out with a compilation of him saying Latinx like every 5 minutes.
Yep.
It's like, am I in like a Twilight Zone? Like, are these people not aware?
Pandering.
Are they not being, and that's the thing, they're not being accountable, right? Which is the second thing that we talked about. It's
100%.
like, you need to communicate first. And then you have to be accountable of everything that you have done.
Follow your words with your actions.
Stick to it, man. Like, how can you flip-flop? And especially in a position of power like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and for me, it's I appreciate that Newsom has changed and that he's doing, he wants to do things differently and kind of take it back to the grassroots of the party and yada, yada, yada. But for the mandates and all the bullshit that we went through, I don't know if I can get over that because I can remember those times and then seeing how the other side, was acting and behaving, and we couldn't do anything, and they could do everything. It's too fresh in my mind, even 5 years later.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's hard to look past that situation and how they. Like what they made.
They manipulated us.
The way they manipulated everything,
Dude, what's good for thee is not good for me.
And now it's like, oh, well.
Yeah, sorry, we made a mistake.
We messed up and let's...
But they didn't mess up because they had a great time. And actually, we had a great time, right? I mean, like my office, my friends, my circles.
It was a very surreal time, for sure. It was was not horrible.
But kids not going to school, that was wrong.
Yeah.
Businesses shutting down, that was wrong. I mean,
people
losing
their business completely.
And you look at we look at the control factor, right? And when you look at like people, depression went up, anxiety went up, suicides went up, crime went up, like all of these things went up. And you're sitting here going like, wow. And like for me in the health world, I'm sitting here going like, everybody's gaining a ton of weight. The diabetes thing, the disease thing, it's just escalating like no end. Nobody can go to the gym because the gyms are closed. The parks are closed. The beaches are closed. And I'm like, so I have a pretty strict diet, pretty focused diet. I'm looking at like what people are eating because I'm trying to figure out, and I was open, select group came in. It was great. But as they're like, wow, I just gained like 20 pounds. I'm like, doing what? And you're looking at the food that they're eating. And that was when opportunity was taking place. I mean, forget about the pharmaceutical opportunities and all of that. But if you look at the food companies, they were seething at the bit. And they're like, okay, we've got a captive audience. We're going to push these products. And I mean, the level of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, everything just skyrocketed. And you're sitting here, it was nutritionally driven. I use that word loosely, nutrition. Because the foods that were being pushed and available, you couldn't get toilet paper, but you could get Frosted Flakes. You couldn't get certain things, but you could get all the sugary crap and put it in your body. And as I'm digging through that, I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is so addicting about these foods? So you go down that rabbit hole for a minute, you look at the foods, you're like, okay, it's General Mills, it's stuff that's been around since I was a kid, but what's different about it? Well, what was different about it, what I found was, I think in the 70s, when the Philip Morrises and the other tobacco companies were getting in trouble because they lied about, cigarettes and cancer and that whole thing, what did they do? They bought food companies. They bought Kraft. They bought General Mills. They bought General Foods. They brought all of these food conglomerates to diversify. So what do you think they did? I don't know this. This is purely speculation.
Right.
Whatever they did to get people addicted to cigarettes. Cigarettes are healthy. They're safe. They're this. They're that. Boom. You take it. You're addicted. You get cancer, and that's the end. Well, okay, that business model is kind of phasing out. Why don't we buy these food companies and do the same thing? And then that was the play for the food companies during the plague to try to manipulate an entire population, captive audience, and create a whole new consumer base addicted to fake, processed, artificial, non-food bullshit.
Yep. Yeah.
But it was insane. It was just an insane time. Like the parallels and all these things coming. And you get to today and you're like, wow. As you said, the geopolitics, the where are we headed?
Yeah.
Like is Trump the answer? I don't know.
Right.
I didn't like where we were headed. I don't know where we're headed.
Right.
And
that's the one thing like you just mentioned right now. It's like, is Trump the answer? So far it is.
He's moving at light speed.
But if he is able, just by what he's doing, looking at it rationally and with common sense, if he even does half of the stuff that he said he was going to do, only half of it, bro, he can be going into being the best president of the United States.
Eggs went from $12.99. I just spent $3.99. My filling up my cars was $150. It's $65-$70 now. So I mean, my stock market, I'd like that a little different.
Yeah, that thing is plunging right now, dude.
And I mean, the tariffs, we don't know.
Yeah. And that's again another thing, like people are like, oh, well, the tariffs, we're going to pay for it. It's like, well, we might have to pay for it for a little bit. But the reaction to it, when you're looking at it with a magnifying glass, you start to realize how every single one of his tariffs have reacted positively for the United States.
Yeah. And we do that tariff with Canada, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's kind of gnarly. That's because I have a bunch of Canadian friends. I'm like, Sorry, Canadian friends. But then I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, you guys are charging us 250%?
Right.
And now we're charging you
an extra 25?
Yes. So you're still in the green here. Yeah. And why are you pissed?
Yeah.
And then China slaps Canada with 100% tariff. I'm like, how come nobody's complaining about China? Like, again, it's what you hear, but if you search out the information, then you're like, okay, we're not the only ones doing this.
Yeah. I mean, with the whole situation with Mexico, right? When he wanted to impose those 25% tariffs on Mexico for Claudia Sheinbaum, and yes, the way she reacted to things. I mean, the whole situation with Mexico, dude, it's very, very. I don't even know if there was going to be a solution for that drug trafficking. First of all, we are a country that at least 15 years ago, 35 to 40% of our of the money that Mexico was getting came from drugs, right?
The revenues.
Yep.
It's insane.
35 to 40% is like, how do you stop that? They say, like, the minute that they want to stop drugs in Mexico, the economy collapses.
It's going to be a
problem. It's that plain and simple. So that was 15 years ago. Now, maybe even longer than that, I don't even know. But now, it's even worse. Maybe 40 to 50. Maybe not 50, but solid 40 for sure. So
the drugs coming over are killing people left and right.
They are. But this is where I'm going to push back a little bit on that. I completely understand. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of drugs coming in, but supply and demand, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, what do we do on this side to stop it?
One of our biggest industries in America is drugs. We've just legalized certain drugs. So if you could legalize that stuff and tax it, yeah, I tell you, a lot of it would stop because the second you have to pay a tax on a drug and you don't have the right infrastructure in place in your company, you're done.
Yeah.
I'm not saying legalize fentanyl, legalize anything. That's right. But if the war on drugs is lost.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's actually an oxymoron, to say that war on drugs, because it's like, how do you fight drugs? Like, I mean, like, in this area where I have lived for a long time, and in the areas where I have worked, I mean, in the stuff that I have seen.
Yes, it's insane.
It's like everybody's doing something.
You can go to the highest income to the lowest income, and they have the same problems.
Absolutely. Even probably more on the highest income, because they can pretty much do whatever they want to do.
No solution in sight.
So yeah, the whole thing with Mexico, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because I remember back in 2019 there was a Mexican general that was actually captured. Was it 19 or 18? I think it was 18 or 19, something like that. His last name is Cienfuegos, right? And he was captured in Miami because the DEA had like a huge file for him, saying like, you have dealt drugs in Mexico for the last 30 years. I don't know how long he was in charge. What happened? The Mexican president back then, AMLO, he makes a call to Trump and be like, hey, bro, you need to release him. Like yesterday.
Wow.
He got released immediately. He's not allowed to be back in the country ever again, but he's in Mexico. And he's still friends with Claudia Sheinbaum, which is the newest president nowadays. And it's like, what does that tell you? What was said in the conversation?
Yeah, you gotta wonder.
Like, what was in the conversation? Like, hey, you need to release him because he probably has so much on you guys.
Everybody.
Yes. It's all blackmailing, basically. Yeah. To this point, it's just all a blackmail.
Diddy, it's Epstein, it's all of it.
And that's the other thing, right? It's like, I think, have you ever read, Kash Patel, right? The FBI director. Did you read his book?
No.
He has a great book. Check it out, dude. It's called Government Gangsters. It's a great book.
Awesome.
I was able to understand a little bit more of what was going on back then when, when Trump came into power, he came out with guns blazing to the point where for some people that didn't know what was happening behind closed doors, looked at him like, this guy is nuts.
Yeah.
And everybody looked at it like, everybody was like,
they're still saying that.
Right? Yeah. But now that you go back and understand what was happening back then, you realize like, oh, well, no wonder.
Yeah.
No wonder why he was he was being reactive. Mm-hmm. Very, very reactive.
And he's not a career politician. He doesn't need the money. Like I sit there scratching my head all the time. I'm like, I would never go through what he's going through.
Good. It's crazy.
I mean, it is, love him or hate him, he loves his country. And I mean, he's willing to die for it. We've seen it.
Yeah.
And I mean, for him to put in that effort and put in this time and be so transparent with everything. I mean, we watched the last 4 years. I didn't see the other president doing a whole lot other than sitting on the beach or, a couple snafus that made the highlight reel in the news.
Right.
And this guy's signing order after order and traveling here and hosting this guy and having this. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No. You see all these things that are happening. And now that he got into power again, he's in the administration, he has definitely changed his tone a little bit. He knows he's more decisive. Not that he wasn't, but he's more like now he's surrounding himself with the right people.
Yeah. Well, he picked his own people this time.
Exactly. And that is key, right? Like the first time he didn't. Basically, like all that swamp.
So I'll definitely give him that. First time he was handed a team and a cabinet.
Yeah.
This time he picked his team and cabinet. Yeah. So if it rock and rolls, it's the best president ever.
Exactly.
If it crashes and burns, he's going to be down there with Carter and you know who. Now I don't see it crashing and burning.
Yeah. But I mean, but so far he's doing what he needs to do. But
he's doing what he said he's going to do.
What he said he was going to do. But again, it's like the only thing that I see right now is like the whole Epstein thing, right? Like the people are saying actually they're never going to release those files because there's just too much happening around in there that is like it would put a lot of people into trouble. So they're gonna. They literally saying they're like, we're never going to see them. They're going to do everything they can so that stuff never gets released.
And I mean, there has to be a certain infrastructure for things to work. And I mean, like if you're a politician and you're making $200,000 a year and you have $200 million in the bank, that's a problem. So, I mean, is there corruption? Absolutely. On both sides?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think there's got to be a way to filter it out at a certain pace where you don't lose the efficacy and the strength and stability of government. But I mean, there has to be a correction.
Yeah, and I think that's I think we might be able to see it with him. I mean, his cabinet. Like right now with Hexeth, there's a little bit of stuff happening. And,
shouldn't be texting on Signal. Whoever did it, I don't know who did it. If it's even true, I don't know. I from what I've read, it looks pretty legit.
Yeah,
and it's a problem.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, people need to,
but you have to be accountable. And if you've messed up, you need to like move along.
And so far, he hasn't.
Yeah,
he's denying things, and it's like, okay, dude, it's like
I've seen the transcript. I've seen the snapshots. It's kind of true.
Yeah. It's like just I don't know, But then again, nothing is going to be perfect.
Yeah,
and that is another thing that we have. It's like we want perfection on everything, especially in government. We want everybody to be like on point, which they should be because they're getting paid a lot of money.
Sure,
to be perfect.
Yeah,
but shit is gonna happen, man.
Yes,
shit is gonna happen.
The wheels can't come off, but we can have some like car issues here. I mean, it's we need to be going forward at a steady clip. Even with the Doge thing, right? Like out of all the time in the history of government, not only did we not have a guy who had the capability of putting this together, but to execute it on such a level that like to bring it to clarity and sense,
right? The
transparency, it's mind blowing, right? And to see where this money goes sometimes, and I'm not against trans anything, but I don't want my tax dollars spent on training a transgender in Nigeria how to bake cookies.
Right.
That's not where I want my tax dollars going. I mean, pull that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really, really bizarre ways that are spending our money.
Crazy. And also the whole. Have you ever seen that video of Jon Stewart sitting down with the director of the Pentagon?
No.
And you haven't seen it? I'll send it to you. It's like 7 minutes long.
Sweet.
But dude, he rips her a new one. This interview thing happened like maybe a year or two ago, where you know that Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in 7 years. And
what company can operate like that? Only a company that's got limitless funds.
Bro, if you open up a company and I'm in charge of it, and when you come and audit, then I'm like, dude, I'm missing like $1 million.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Dude, you're fired. You're out. And then I'm going to prosecute you.
Common sense, right?
How about the guys when they were saying, "Give me 5 things you did this week,"
right? And they were like, "Oh, like
Leo, ask me 5 things I did last week." I could bust them out in 10 seconds, and that's a big deal.
And people got offended.
If you work for me, it should be an easy ask and a simple request. It's not a threat; it's a request. And it should be easily fulfilled. I mean, to push back on that is like, oh my God, you work, you get a paycheck, you're supposed to produce.
And that is the thing. I think they have forgotten that they work for us, that the government is working for us. I mean, we're not
That's that entitlement you were speaking about.
It's like we are paying you guys.
Yes.
Like, let's not lose track of that. Like, if they're asking you for you to tell them what you've done in the last 5 days, it's like I get asked. I can be asked that at where I work too. It's like, okay, so what did you do yesterday? Like, why there were not that many sales? Like, what can you do to improve? You need to like push on this wine, or you need to push on this bourbon, or do you need to, it's like, well, yeah, we need to make more sales, so I need to.
If you want to be successful,
right? And that's the thing. It's like,
I mean, when people come into me and they'll be like, "Yeah, gee, I don't know why I'm up 25 pounds." I'm like, let's talk about it. What have you been doing? Mm-hmm. And the ones that are like, well, are you fat shaming me? I'm like,
has there people saying that to you?
No, but I mean, the press will call me a fat shamer, but I just call it as I see it.
True.
If you're fat, you're fat. All right? Give me anybody that's obese and they're not eating perfectly. It's okay. And it's not me being mean, it's me being real. Mm. And the fact that some people are offended by that's you won't last in my office.
Right.
Now, if I ask somebody, what's the problem here? Why are you up in weight? Then I guarantee it's going to be how they're eating, their lack of activity, and their stress. Mm. And the more I can help you is the better you can communicate with me. Because as you tell me, I'm going through a divorce, my kids drive me crazy, I'm addicted to Hershey's chocolate bars, I'm drinking 70 beers a week. As we identify these problems, you're telling me what you're doing, I'm asking you what you're doing. That's the only way we can really get a critically solid solution to fixing the problem.
Yeah.
If you want it fixed. Now, if you don't want it fixed, then you're going to get diabetes, you're going to get cardiovascular disease, you're going to get cancer, you're going to get all those terrible things. Mm. And then you're going to play the victim? I don't think so.
Yeah. Putting politics aside, but I think you're definitely right on that. And it's like I told you, like I mentioned to you one day, is that what I really liked about you one time is that I was at your office and somebody came over, like, oh, I have a friend that wants to, drop some weight. And he's like, the first thing that you asked, you haven't even seen the guy. You just asked the friend, you're like, well, does he want to lose weight?
You can't help somebody that doesn't want help.
Such a simple question, straight to the point, not, like just going exactly to where it needs to be. Does he want to lose weight?
What do you want?
Right.
And whatever you want, like whatever you're going through, if you focus on it and you build towards that dream, then it materializes. Mm. If you go, oh, well, this is going to happen, I don't have that, and this is a problem, and these people are mean, then you're stuck in the minutia of the bullshit. Mm. If you want the solution, focus on it, make the changes, follow it with the actions, walk the walk.
Within the last, I'm always thinking, I'm always evolving, changing my way of thinking. And
I love that about you.
You've known me for so many years.
Yeah,
That
you're an incredible human being. You're a great human being. It's a pleasure to know you.
Appreciate you, brother. And it's always like, I remember up to, I think COVID was definitely an eye-opener for many, many things, right? Especially political views. Whereas before I was very, very left, coming from a country that, it's socialist now, in a sense. So now I realize what made me change my way of thinking. Again, now I'm moderate.
Yeah, I'm saying
moderate, conservative, like
slightly conservative,
slightly
socially liberal.
Right. Like you don't want that government to be on your business, basically, right?
Yep.
So, like, it took me a while for me to understand that and grasp that idea, okay? And one of them was not having a victim mentality.
Of all the words of tongue and pen, the saddest are what could have been.
Yeah. I feel like the minute I started to think myself of being better in every way, a lot of things started changing and allowed me to see the perspective of the right. I have known the people that are from the right that I have known are really cool people. Like the minute that they know that they notice, because obviously where I work, they see me, that I'm a hard worker, that I am, I have
intelligent, personable,
and I have dreams, and I have
aspirations.
My aspirations and all those things.
Multiple avenues of talent.
Right. People see you in a different way. They look at you. They're like, wow, like the
potential. They see the potential.
They see the potential. Exactly. They see the potential. They see and they encourage you. They're so encouraging to help you. So that
when I walked in today and you're like, I'm going through this problem, it's a pain in the ass. I'm going to solve it, but I'm in a bit of a time crunch, through like the calendar. And I'm like, okay, the very next thing you said, but I got back into yoga and I feel so much better. Everything is getting so much more clear. Everything is getting so much better. And that was a huge heartwarming thing for me to hear from you, because as you start to take care of yourself and you get that center alliance and you get that alignment from within, then you get all this clarity and all the things that you have to do. And with all the things that you're doing, this problem came up, and what brought you back to center that you highlighted for me was the fact that you got back into being you, your health, your flexibility, your mobility, your strength, your body, your food, your mentality, your calmness. It brings it all to a whole new level. Like the people who are yelling are a complete disaster. The people who are doing are successful. And it's that simple.
Yeah. And I definitely have felt it, where it's like, okay, so the way that I feel better, that I have more flexibility in my body, I feel that I use in general, I feel great. It gives me time to be like, okay, so now let's focus on this and how can we take care of that? Now I'm not worried about my weight. I'm not worried about my arm is hurt, my leg is hurting, or my hips or my back is out of whack, and all this is like, now that's taken care of.
You're in flow.
Now let's move on to this and how we're gonna, take care of it.
And that translates to everything in your life. The better you take care of yourself, the better everything around you is taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is it. Like now seeing different perspective of my life. Like understanding that, like, well, if I think of myself and taking care of myself, but at the same time think of myself as being a worthy person,
person of value,
a person of value, like
which you are. We are all people of value.
We are, But not a lot of us see it, right?
Hardly anyone sees it. That's why we lash out at the other people. If you know your value, you don't have to defend anything. You don't have to yell. You don't have to be crazy. You just have to be.
And now, with that said, right there, right? Once you know your value, I noticed that at least the people that I know, the people that are on the right side, those people know their value, dude. They're very aware of their value. Therefore, they come up as maybe standoffish, maybe, like attitude, but because they know their value, they know what they have, what they bring to the table. Once you are aware of that and you bring the same to them, and when they like see you, like what I do at work, I love seeing that at work because first of all, like we talked about it the first time on the podcast, is like my look doesn't really gel out, fucking. Like Newport Beach,
It's all good.
But at the same time, it's me and I love me who I am. However, I will never stop not, like laughing when people are like, they know that I'm an artist, that I'm starting a podcast, and all these things. They look at me, their whole perspective, their goals, their whole perception of me changes.
You're a beacon of opportunity and a magnet for awesomeness. And that is a whole level up for all of us, right? I always like to be the dumbest person in the room. You know why?
Yeah.
Because everyone else makes me smarter.
Exactly, dude.
And I mean, if I can surround myself with people who are successful or people who are more intelligent or all that, it only makes me better.
Exactly. I cannot agree with you anymore on that. Like exactly, like, and that's what I like to do. I like to do that too. It's like I like to surround myself by people that are not only are gonna just bring me up another level, because that's what I need. That's what it is. That's what this life is all about. Yes. It's like moving levels up, not staying the same level that you have been for the last 20, 30, 40 years and just being miserable there. Like you need to keep moving, like in any aspect of life, like physically, right?
I say it all the time. Movement is medicine.
Movement is medicine in every way.
Yes. It feeds you from within and it makes you better.
Right.
And it's an incredible thing to always strive to be better, be it physically, mentally, romantically, spiritually, financially. You can tag all of these things in. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. And the better you take care of yourself, as I've said, the better things will be taken care of. The better people you surround yourself with, the better you're going to be. And it's all about like effort. If you sit there and go, well, I don't have this because of that, and I don't, this person did this to me, and da-da-da. Excuses are bullshit. The only thing there's no excuses, there's only success. There's two groups of people, successful people and people who make excuses.
Yep. And that's what I have realized. And I'm not saying that all the people on the left are like, because you can never generalize anything.
I'll tell you, I have a ton of friends who are liberals, and they're coming up to me left and right, and they're like, we don't like the current administration, but we didn't like the other one where it was going. I go, so where are you at with that? And they're like, well, we're optimistic with what happens. And then we're going to try to change in 4 years. And I go, that's great, because you're wanting to level up.
Exactly.
Like you didn't settle for what was handed to you. Right. And even if you don't like the current guidance and the current administration, the current trajectory, you're going to level up to make something change, make something better. You're going to have to put in effort. You're going to have to show up. You're going to have to like have an idea of what you want it to be, what that looks like.
Right. Exactly. And then guess what? If in 4 years they have their shit together, they have a goal, they have a plan, they're thinking about everybody else.
Yes.
Then guess what? Hey.
And I'm not against it. If the country's great, it's great.
Exactly. If the country is great, they're not violating my rights.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Then by all means,
don't turn my kid into anything other than a 10-year-old kid, right? Like my kid's an incredible athlete, scholar, Let that kid flourish. Yeah. Let that kid go to college. Let that kid go to work. Whatever they want to do to succeed. Let them be happy.
Do not impose your ideologies into their
Exactly.
heads, because that is not okay. That is not right, you know?
If I'm wearing a hat that says "Make America Great Again," that's all it means. I've got an American flag right here. I've had people go, "Why are you wearing an American flag?"
Because I'm American.
Yes.
And that is just like, it's baffling, right? That is like,
how did the American flag become a symbol of like hatred or like Nazism or it's insane?
Because again, right, just like they have their 0.5% of people that are kind of like, you know, like throwing the whole party, you know, into this craziness, you have these other on the other side,
yes,
that are extremists, racist,
awful,
white supremacists.
Yeah,
you know, that's what they see. You know, like, it's not. I haven't met one yet.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are.
Of course there are.
I'm sure there are.
Yes,
but they focus on that too. The left is going to focus on those white supremacists, haters, racists.
Imagine I'm wearing an "Make America Great Again" hat, and you're looking at me. What do you see?
Like you.
Yeah, imagine I'm wearing it right now, and it says "Make America Great Again."
Like I'm like, dude, like, where do you get it? Can I get one?
Like I want to make America great.
Well, yeah,
I want. Did they make a shirt? It's a beautiful thing. It's something positive, but it's been twisted and turned.
Yeah, they have used it as a symbol of Trumpism and a symbol of whatever it is that is like. Well, it just makes America great.
I have a great analogy to that. Watch my face and tell me what you see. Okay, I'm going to do something.
Squinting.
Exactly right.
I got it right this time.
You did. So you remember.
Yeah.
But so that's a huge, huge asset to take through in life. 99.9% of people will say, "Oh, you're judging me. Oh, you're like, you've got bad thoughts towards me." All I'm doing is squinting. If I'm wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, if I have an American flag on my shirt, I love my country. That's it. It's not against you.
And that is exactly it. Like, now how I...
Well done, dude. I'm so proud of you. No, it's bitching. It's like, that's a huge level up just to like operate in life.
Right. And that's exactly, you know, like with now at work, you know, like I was in that victim mentality for many, many years where I felt judged. I felt not worthy. I felt...
But inside, you know how your value is.
Exactly.
You know how incredible a person you are. And you know how much you can bring to... You bring the fucking table to the table, bro. We all do.
Yeah. But it's just something inside that still makes you feel like you're not. However, within the last 9-10 years, you know, it gets progressively better. But about 10 years, that thing started to change. You know, I needed to change the chip in my head. So now... what I was saying, like now seeing people's reactions when they know that I'm an artist and I have my art hanging at where I work.
Yeah.
I mean, like say, seeing their reaction is priceless because they see me, like you mentioned, they're like, wow, you are not just a bartender, you know, like that the bartender, you know, as they would see me, you know, before.
You're this incredible artist. You're this incredible person. You've got all this knowledge. You've got this podcast. You've got all these great things, all these assets. So you don't, it's people either have a seat at the table, which you do, or they're on the menu. So it's one or the other.
And you have the choice.
Of course you have the choice.
You have the choice to make where you want to be.
You want to be featured on the menu or you want to be at the head of the table.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here in my office. This is a few months back. I take some tests. They go horribly wrong, right? And I'm like, oh God. And I'm the health and fitness guy. I'm the health and fitness guru. I'm going to save you. I've had cancer patients go from 600 tumors to 12. Right. I've had some incredible stories. Paralyzed Dave. We've gone through it. So when I get my test, Dr. Sossin, functional medicine guy in Irvine, great guy. He's like, Doc, you know, your cholesterol's out. Your A1s, everything is terrible. And he's looking at me and he's like, what are you doing? Like, what do you think this is? And I go, well, I know exactly what it is. And he's like, can you fix it? And I go, I think I can. I know I can. I will. And he's like, what is it? And I go, it's my lifestyle. I'm going 100 million miles an hour. probably drinking too much, probably partying too much, not sleeping. I need to make some lifestyle modifications if I want to change these numbers. If I don't do those modifications, these numbers won't change. I don't want to take medication. I want to be, I'm the preacher of goodwill and good health. I need to walk the walk. So I took, 6 weeks, no drinking, no craziness, no wild nights, sleeping, tons of exercise, everything I would tell you to do. We take those tests again, and they're like 25% lower. And he looks at me and he's like, wow, I didn't know this could be done. And I go, it's what I do every day. I just wasn't doing it for myself.
Right.
And I don't want to become the excuse. And it goes back to like victim mentality. You get caught up in anything. And I was caught up in a lot of fun, especially post-plague. It's a great time. Great time. Tons of fun, tons of money, tons of like activities, like you name it. And the wheels didn't exactly come off, but they were going to.
They were going to.
And if I wanted to do something about it, I could either do medication, I could either do nothing and end up, in a pretty severe situation with my health, or I could change my lifestyle. And people are looking at me at the office and they're like, wow, what the hell are you doing? And I go, I'm doing what I tell you to do. I'm applying it to myself. And over the course of, it's been probably 4 months now, since December. You wouldn't even notice it because I didn't know I had it to lose. I'm down like 25 pounds.
Dude, get out of here.
It's insane.
Who would have ever?
And I look the same. As far as I'm concerned, I look the same. I don't know.
Right.
Marginally handsome. Just kidding.
But indeed.
But I'm sitting here going like, 25 pounds, where did it go and where did it come from? That was the inflammation in my body.
Yeah.
That's what was clogging up my arteries. Yeah. Is cardiovascular disease reversible? No. But am I going to try to reverse it? Hell yeah. And my scores have all come down. There's a couple of scores I'm still working on, but I'm in the right direction. I'm taking responsibility. Yeah. I'm doing the correct actions. Yeah. And it's if you do the work, whatever it is, then you get the benefits. It's a beautiful thing.
And that is it. It's like we know exactly what we need to do. Like we already know the changes that we need to apply.
We know them all.
All we need to do is just follow through with it.
Consistency.
It's like you speak about it. Now show us how,
Talk is cheap. We need to see the action.
And not going to this like, oh my God, why is this happening to me? Why is this
victim mentality?
It's like, dude, well, take a second. Look at what you mentioned, what am I doing with my life? Like if you are, we have to be aware of our situation, of our bodies, of what we're doing to make our lives that way we are making it to be, right? If you don't have that, if you're not able to grasp that, there's a problem.
Dr. Sossin looks at me and he's like, you're the healthiest guy I know. You're in the best shape I know. I don't understand it. And I go, I do. Because I know what I'm doing. And I know what I'm doing wrong. And I know how to correct it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do the work.
Yeah. And that's it, right? Like you know what to do, you know what the next step is going to be, and now you have to move during that direction, and that's it. That's the answer. But yeah, man, so that's the epiphany that I had in the last couple of years of like,
and like you said, it's not perfect for me.
Right.
I have my moments.
Right. No, exactly. Look at you. If you could have told me that, I would have been like, what?
But I self-correct. If I have a big Sunday at the golf course with a bunch of pros and
right.
A couple of my guys did well and we go out and celebrate.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the next couple days, week, whatever,
you're going to...
Perfect.
Yeah. And it takes, it takes a lot for someone to take that responsibility. Like in your case, to come over here and let us know, and all the people are going to see you and know you, and some of them are not aware of it, and they're going to see and they're like, what?
During the plague, there was a point during the plague, and I threw out a number earlier of 60 beers, whatever. Like, you'd have 3, 4, 5 beers a night, and then 10 beers on the weekend, and you would be if you accumulate that, 60, 70 beers a week. Coors Light, whatever. It's calories.
Stella.
Yeah, Stella. There, yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's that volume that is eating you alive from the inside. And I'm the guy rebuilding your mitochondria. I'm the guy that's putting you on PEMF, that's putting you through the red light, that's putting you in the oxygen, putting you in the contrast therapy and the cold plunge and the Rife and all this stuff. But I'm not using it. I'm not applying it. I'm the guy that's going out having fun, being an idiot, being crazy, and having a great time. And I'm relatively healthy, right? But I mean, like, when you get those numbers, it is such a slap. And you're like, son of a bitch. Like, I feel good. I look okay, I think. I don't look overweight. I'm highly functional. I'm very competitive in the sports that I play.
Right.
But I'll tell you, after doing all of that, the processor, off the charts.
Yeah.
But productivity, insane.
Yeah.
My performance, never better.
Yeah.
It's across the board changes. The needle has been pushed to a whole nother level. But I mean, we all have that in us if we take the responsibility.
Exactly, man.
And the proper steps in order to make the changes.
I think that's it. I think we just have to look in and be like, okay, like, what
be
do
honest
I need?
with yourself.
Exactly. That's it. Just own it and be like, I need to make some changes here because this is not working my way, the way I want it to be. But
and the wheels can't come off, but you got to be able to put them back on. Balance. It's all about it.
I agree, man. So how's business going right now, dude? I mean, I see it, dude. You're always.
It's a little crazy.
That place is like a party house. Like,
we're I call it the land of misfit toys, and I'm the lion, right? Like I'm the idiot lion. So it's. You ever seen that movie with Rudolph? Everybody there is great. Yeah, it's great. It's purely referral. So I cherry pick everyone that comes in. Everyone that comes in, like we discussed, like I ask them, I go, why are you here? What do you want from me? And their question is always, well, what do you do? And I retort, and I'm like, what do you need? They're like, well, what's your education? What's your this? What's your that? And I go, bye. If you can't answer my questions, it's not going to work for me. I have plenty of education, 13 years and 27 years of practice experience. What do you need? What do you want? What are you willing to do? Your success is my success. I don't want to fail. I don't fail.
Right.
So you're going to do good. And if you're not doing good, you need to go somewhere else where you can do good.
Right.
And I mean, business is on a daily basis like a day at the beach for me. It's mixing with people who have common interests that want to be healthy, that are fun, that are way smarter than me, way nicer than me. I get as much from it as I give. And, every time I go to work, I sit there and I scratch my head and I'm like, wow, I'm the luckiest guy alive.
Right,
this is my daily dose of Disneyland.
Yeah.
And, I'm HR. And so you can imagine how that goes. But it's a blast.
Yeah. You're always having fun, dude.
And the people coming in, they bring their friends and they bring their mom and they bring their cousin. And, so it builds on that. And it was interesting because especially with, all these things happening in the economy, I'm like, wonder what will happen. I'm certainly not economy bulletproof, but I'm such a niche.
Right. And
I mean, if you look at on Google, it's the wrong address.
Right.
Wrong hours. Right. Wrong phone number. It's impossible to find me. The Instagram and the different handles, you can try to message me, but I have a funnel where if I know you, like it goes to that.
Oh, really?
And
everything else.
I mean, it's there. I don't want to spend my afternoon or night looking through it. There's things I'd rather be doing.
Right.
But everybody there has the common goal and building the community of being the best that you possibly can be in the meat suit you exist in. And that's my gig to everybody. Like I want you to be your best genetic potential that you physically, emotionally, spiritually can be. I want you to be your supreme being. You are the master commander of the vessel, and I am simply Columbus. I'm helping. I'm guiding you.
Right. Yeah, you're doing a hell of a job, dude. You can see it. Everybody loves you, and you are making shit happen for sure. You know,
I love it. I love changing lives.
I see it for sure. How's Dave doing, dude?
Paralyzed Dave. Okay, so we went. He had a goal, right? And it's a run of like a 5K. So I'm like, 5K, okay. I go to Hawaii relatively often. And I'm like, Dave, what do you think about surfing? He's like, well, I'll say it straight up. He's like, fuck you. Paralyzed Dave, right? Right. And I go, no, I'm totally serious because you're doing so great. You're walking, you're getting a lot stronger. You're doing all these things. Have you ever tried walking on water? That would be truly a miracle. And he's like, I've never even thought about it. I go, sometime this year, we're going to go to Hawaii and you're going to surf. And he's like, from your lips to God's ears. I'm like, done and done. So we meet in Hawaii a few months ago. I got a lot of friends out there in Oahu. So they all meet us at the beach. Dave's there, his family's there and stuff. And so lifeguards come up and they're like, so we can't help because this is a huge liability. Right. But we got you. I'm like, sweet. Mahalo. And I look at Dave and Dave's like, I'm game. Let's do it. And so we get the boards. We're in front of the Moana Surf Rider, which is in Waikiki, canoes. And we paddle out and we're sitting there. And as we're paddling out, I'm like, wow, what did I get myself into?
Right.
And I'm like, okay. So I strategically placed guys in the water. But at the end of the day, I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong. But with Dave's intuition, with his ability, with his desire, like you cannot. That creates your destiny.
That, dude. You cannot stop that.
Yes, your destiny is in the decision. Like whatever you want will happen if you decide it to be. Right? Destiny always is in the decision. You follow it with action, and voila, there it is. So we're paddling out. I'm going like, God damn. Okay. If he falls, he's shark bait in 2 seconds. So I have to figure out how to get to him. So I have fins on. Long short of it is, we're out there all afternoon. I'm pushing him into waves, and he's starting to catch waves. Later in the afternoon, he's like, I want to paddle. I want to, and we'd practiced a lot of this stuff in my office. Like popping up and paddling and upper body strength and stuff like that. But he is still paralyzed, right? And bottom line. So, we had braces on his ankles so that he had some sort of stability. And then all of a sudden, like he catches this, I push him in a wave, he catches it. And I mean, the whole beach lights up. Sure. You just hear this, whoo, it's like, I lifted out of the water. Like it brings like my neck is like tingling. The hairs on my neck are standing up. It was one of those things where I'm just sitting there, holy shit. I knew it would happen, but I didn't know it would happen. And I'm like, this is actually fucking happening. This is like it was one of the best moments ever for me.
Dude, that's huge.
And I'm sitting there going like, we had several more experiences like that where he got up and had a great time and was paddling and people were starting to gather and just go. He had his own like cheer. It was just so fucking like great to see people coming together. And surfers are a different breed.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And but the whole beach on all of Waikiki, it's an international beach. So you had people from Germany, people from Japan, people from America, everybody pro Dave. Let's go Dave. And because him getting up was them feeling that sense of victory. And it was just so awesome. At the end, we go back, we're talking about it. And I'm like, so what do you think? And he's like, I want to do it again tomorrow. I can do better. And I'm just like, fuck, that's exactly right answer. Right answer. Right. And then the next day was even better. More of the same, but better. When we finished the trip, we went out to a big dinner and stuff. And when we finished the trip, he's like, when are we coming back? I'm like, you tell me. Right. And I was just like, dude, it's just so bitching. It's so crazy.
That is great, dude.
Yeah.
That is so
I'm like,
cool.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's just like, just fills your heart.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. Like the will of that man, and I'm still, I would love to have him here. So,
oh yeah, 100%.
We're not make that happen.
He's got to get in, and he will. He wants to be here.
Okay.
And there's so many. So I have a lady. So there's this new product out there. It's like oxygen therapy with water, where like you lay in this bathtub and do this whole thing. Pretty severe cancer case. She had it. They gave her a pretty finite amount of time to exist. And she's like, comes to me and Dr. Sasson and a couple other guys. She's like, hey, I want to build a team. Can you help us? And I'm like, absolutely. So I'm like, if I'm going to be part of it, you have to keep traditional medicine in place. You have to keep your oncologist. He's a great guy out of Hogue. And then Sasson has got his things. I'll do my things. My job will be to kind of combat like the radiation and the chemo because I want to keep your body alive.
Right.
Radiation, chemo, it just destroys everything. And then people end up dying of an infection or their body just shuts down. My job, keep the body thriving, keep the body alive, keep the immune system engaged so that you still have that fight, that will, that ability to exist.
Right.
So as the chemo and all those things kill you, I keep you alive.
Right.
And the other doctors do the same. So then she found this guy, Dr. Lyons, and he's out of Hungary. He's got these oxygen baths. So she coupled that in with this. So, with stage 4 colon cancer, it's a pretty grim prognosis.
Right.
This was, I want to say, 3 years ago at this point. They gave her a couple months, and they were giving her palliative care, which means basically we'll take care of you until you die. You get palliative care before you go on hospice. But Kathy's a fighter. Kathy's a beast. She's got to get in here too. Maybe Kathy and Dave.
Let's make it happen, dude. I would love to hear her story.
So, long short of that is fighting like Muhammad Ali, dude. Unbeatable. Like Mike Tyson in his prime, biting off the ears of people, throwing people out of the ring. She gets her cancer score. It was extraordinarily high, 700. Right? Her cancer score, she just texted me this morning, and I'll read it to you. It was about fell over. It is 12. So virtually cancer-free. When in reality, she shouldn't be here. The reason why she's here, obviously the clinicians and the doctors and myself, but the reason why she's here,
her will. Amen to that, man. Amen to that.
It's a beautiful thing.
That is.
It's in all of us. We all just have to believe in ourselves, tap into it, trust our gut,
and let it be the driving force, man. Let it be the driving force. Be like, let's go.
It's the light that guides you.
Yep.
It'll never take you in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Let's make it happen, dude. I would love to hear her, and I think a lot of people would love to listen to her story, and
it's amazing.
And Dave's for sure. So
she's a beast. Dave's a beast. They're all beasts. Anderson, double hips. I'll throw this in real quick. That's my ugly twin sister.
Love him.
Chris Anderson, great guy. He needed a hip, so we kept him out of surgery for a couple of years, and then finally I'm like, bro, you're gonna need to do it. So he goes to Gorab. Gorab's great. He's at Hogue. He's built Hogue, Irvine, incredible doc. Developed the technology. Anyways, builds him a hip. And so Chris is like, wow, this feels pretty good. I want to really kind of get back to normal. So he tries to get back to normal. His other hip goes. Right. And I want to say this was in November. And so he's looking at me, he's like, okay, I think I need to get the other hip done. And I'm like, well, the timeline's 6 months. We need to get this one locked and loaded. He's like, but you're my guy. You can fix this. You can get this. We did all this prehab. We're doing all this rehab. When am I going to be ready? So Gorab's like, all right, if you're working with Dr. Tim and, you're doing all this fundamental stuff that's elevated to a whole nother level, then we'll talk about it. And so he's like, yeah, okay, we'll do you like in like February. And Chris is like, I don't want to pay the deductible in February. Can we do it now? This is like, so consider we're like 5 weeks post right hip. Now we're looking at the left. And Corv's like, I don't know. Well, because you've got, me, I'm like, dude, don't lay this on me, bro. That's a lot. I love you, and I'm awesome. I'm incredible. I love me. But I mean, Jesus Christ, dude. I don't want to be the one that drops the ball on this. And so, needless to say, gets the surgery. So he got 2 hip surgeries inside of like 6 weeks. And we were playing pickleball last night.
I saw that too.
Insane.
I saw that too.
And playing well and winning. Incredible. Right. I mean, it's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
I couldn't have a better day every day, all day.
That's great.
It's fucking amazing.
Love it. I'm glad that you're loving what you're doing, brother. But let's wrap this up, bro. Since I gotta do a couple of things, brother.
Let's go, America. I know what you gotta do.
Let's go, baby. Hopefully, it's gonna be great news. So
it will be great news. No, hope is not a strategy. A strategy and a plan come together, and that's what gives us productivity.
Thank you, man.
That's the reality. It's gonna happen. It's happening. It's just a matter of getting it in your hand.
Yeah.
And it will be there. Yeah. Hope is never a strategy.
Yeah.
Action creates the plan. A well-executed plan creates the outcome.
Yep. All right, brother.
You got this.
Thank you, sir.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, baby.